Hi, good morning, everybody. Anup this side. So I posted the link for the quiz on the chat window. I would request each and every one of you to visit that link and take this test, which is very much necessary. And from my side, I will be giving these kind of quizzes every day so that you know where do you stand, and you should know what is lacking and where you need the practice. And we are always here, so ask any questions that you have. Okay, so what does the term concatenate mean? It is basic English, so it means to join, to combine, and to merge. So all of them, right? So this question says, where do you see text that contains option in the conditional formatting? So for that, we have the highlight cells rules. So you would like to combine street address in A1, then we have city in A2 and state in A3. And each component should be separated by a comma. What formula would be the best? So you can also use the deductible method, right? Which is incorrect. Just don't see that option. This option is incorrect, right? It is not even starting with an equal to. So this cannot be a formula in Excel. This has two equal to's and no brackets, so this is also out of the game. So now it is left the this one and this one. So which one is correct? With the so the third option here is the correct option, because in the first one you have three commas in between. That doesn't define a comma. So for defining a comma, you have to put that comma in let me maximize it so that you can see. So as soon as you put in a comma in double inverted commas, then only it will be taken in the function. The three commas here are incorrect, as the center comma is not inside a double inverted comma, right? So therefore the third option is the correct option. Top bottom rules allow you to apply conditional formatting to cells that fall within the top or bottom numbers or percentile. How many items will you allow to include? So it is basically, it begins with top and bottom. It is said like that, but any logical number of items or percentage in top or bottom value frames work here. So it is not specific to top 10 or top 100 or top 10% or top 100%. So it is just said like that, it is written like that. But as soon as you click, it will give you the option: do you really want top 10 or top 5? You can choose, you can even choose 7, 9, 10, whatever your choices. So the next question was, flash fill automatically fills your data when it senses a pattern. For example, you can use flash fill to separate first and last name from a single column, or combine first and last name from two different columns to true or false. So flash fill, as we said, did yesterday, remember, I started typing in the names of people, the first name, and then as soon as I typed the second one, the flash fill option worked and it gave me all the options below that. So this is true. So it senses a pattern in your data. It is flash fill, right? So conditional from formatting helps in checking the spelling mistakes in Excel. False. So conditional formatting doesn't checks any spelling mistakes in Excel. So the conditional formatting function in Excel allows you to automatically apply formatting based on specific rules, or automatically apply highlighting on selected ranges, change font on selected cell ranges. So all of the options listed above are correct. In text A1 is Johnny, text A2 is Johnson. What would be the result of the following formula? Let me just help you again with this. As you see double inverted commas here, and between them is a space. It is not empty, it is a space. So there has to be a space. So we have space in here and also in this option, but it is A1 space A2. So in A1 was Johnny and A2 was Johnson. So Johnny Johnson, which is the fourth option, is the correct option. Where can you find the option to set conditional formatting rules? So it is, you can easily, you could have easily done this question as soon as you see the home tab. So it is available in the home tab in the styles group, right? The home ribbon, the styles group. So dash feature in Excel can be used to populate a range of cells with either a repeat value or a series of value. So remember, there are two things. One is a flash fill and one is an autofill. So a flash fill, as we discussed, it senses a pattern and does the work on its own. But in autofill, it doesn't know any kind of pattern. So it can either give you the copy or it can either fill the series. Let us do an example so that you'll get to know better. Don't confuse yourself in between flash fill and autofill, right? So now I start typing the name, first name, second, and it has given me everything beneath it. So this is a flash fill and not an autofill. Let's do for a last name as well. Right? Uh, for accepting everything, I'm just pressing enter and it is giving me all the options below as well. So this is a flash fill. But what is an autofill? If I am writing one here and then two here, selecting both of them with this plus sign, I'm dragging it down. Now this is autofill. This was flash fill and this one is autofill, right? So don't confuse yourself in flash fill and autofill conditions. So this is autofill, which populate a range of cells with either a repeat value or a series of value, right? So this was quiz 2. Let me see. I think Atulji, now it might be clear, the flash fill and autofill option. Now let's revise one thing which Vidhi asked us. So could you please repeat data bars on returns and match value in H51? Thank you so much. So let us do that first, right? I think you guys have this file with you, the conditional formatting file. So please practice it. So Vidhi, let's do the this one first, right? Let me remove. So how do you remove? I will let you know, because there is a rule, conditional formatting rule applied on this area of cells. So you go to conditional formatting here, you see, and then you go to clear rules and clear rules from selected cells. So you remove the rules like this. So now the rules are removed. Only highlight the cells that match in value I48. So this is I48, which is 13 here. What do? We select this. We go to conditional formatting, highlight cells and rules equal to option, right? The first one and then the fourth one equal to option. Now it is sent equal to what? Now either you can write any random number like 25, 23, right? Or you give it a random number 12, which is available. But we want you to select it from outside with the help of a cell reference, so that as soon as someone changes it, this also changes. So what do? You go for an equal to, right? And select this reference. Now look at this very carefully. This is $I and $48. So this has fixed the value of of the reference that you are taking in. This is not I48. This always have to be $I and $48 so that the value is frozen wherever we are using it. Okay, so we do it with a green fill with the dark green text and okay. Now what happens if you change the value here, like you do it at 12, the 12 will be highlighted. Or let's say if you do it 4 will be highlighted, right? So this is how the in reference would work for the conditional formatting, which is an external reference. You see, now you go to your boss and you say, okay boss, uh, which person do you want to select? He says, give me the person who has got 38. Just a random thing. So we have two people who've got 38. So this is how you select or highlight basis an external reference, right? So for the data bars, there is two things, right? Let me remove this first. So how do we do it? We go to conditional formatting, right? We go to clear rules and clear rules from selected cells or clear rules from entire sheet. So if you press the second option, it will clear rules from the entire sheet. Everything will be disappeared, whatever rules we created for conditional formatting in the whole sheet. But let us do it just for the clear rules for selected cells, right? So what data bars are basically, it is like a bar chart, right? The statistical bar chart that we must have done in class 10th, 11th, 12th for commerce students and basic statistics also. So in this one, what do? In the return, we need the bars and the bars have to be as per the value, right? So what do? We select everything. We go to conditional formatting and we put a data bar, which is a solid fill here. You see, conditional formatting, third option, and then we go for a solid fill or a gradient fill, any color. This is all your creativity, whatever the sheet that you are preparing, the color, the theme that you have will look like for that. So this is all on your creativity. So we put a blue bar here. Now what happens is, you see the 650. So the rule behind the logic that is working behind is, it will create the maximum bar for the maximum number here, right? As 650 was the maximum number in this range, the bar for 650, as you see, is fully colored. But and the rest of them is out of 650. So 20 is out of 650, 487 is out of 650. So 650 has been given the maximum value. But as we also want to see how 650 is performing, and now it is all on your business. Let us say the goal of this return was to reach 800, right? But none of them reached 800. So what do? We select this return again, right? And go to conditional formatting for manage rules, right? There is a two different thing. Clear rules we did for clearing it, manage rules we did for managing as per our requirement. Now whatever you put in from here or from here, it is all as per Excel's default understanding. So Excel will do it the way it understands in a default manner. But when we need to step in and check that no, this is not as per my requirement, I go to manage rules. So in manage rules, we see this rule of data bar, and also always and always check, is it applying to the correct stream that we have, like G3 to G21, right? So let's do it once again. So we go to manage rules and we have this rule here. Now we edit this rule. You see here, we can edit this rule. So we click on editing this rule. Now what it is doing, the minimum is automatic, maximum is automatic. So automatic says whichever is the maximum number will be taken as maximum, which is 650 here, right? But we want the maximum number. So as these are all numbers and not percentages, so the maximum number should be 800, right? Now we put the maximum number as 800 and click on OK, and then we click on apply. So now you see all these numbers now are out of 800 and not 650, which was default. Now 650 is also out of 800, right? I think this explains. So this was conditional formatting for you guys, and it is very important to understand conditional formatting, right? Now I have a little, some basic theoretical, you can say it a theoretical thing, but it is very necessary for you guys to understand whenever you are working with any kind of data, right? So there are different kind of data types in Excel. So what happens is, let me, so an Excel has these kind of data types, right? It can be a whole number. So don't worry, this is not something that that you're going back to your rudimentary maths classes of 5th and 6th, where you started learning whole numbers, real numbers, decimal and everything. But it is very necessary for you guys to understand how Excel is treating whenever you are writing something in a cell, right? So one data type is a whole number. So a whole number is something which doesn't have a decimal, right? Then we have some decimal numbers, which is either less than 0 or more than 0. Then we have something called true and false. And this true and false is used mostly in the formulas, right? Like yesterday, when we were doing the text join formula, do you remember we wrote a 1 for the formula to skip the blank values and a 0 for the formulas to accept the blank values. So that is true or false, right? Then we have text, which is normal, your alphabetical string, right? Then we have date. So date has a different kind of working. We will do that today. How do you deal with dates in Excel, right? Then we have currency. So in the currency also, like the dollar, the rupee, etc., can also be used. So these are the data types that are used in Excel. So let me give you an example for this. So what we are doing, like a whole number can be anything. Like I type it 1 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, right? This is a whole number. Now you see here. So in the next 15 minutes, just concentrate on these numbers that I will be putting in and the format for the numbers here, right? So as I write 1, 2, 3, 5, it is general, right? Let me drop it down. So now this number is basically can be converted into a number, right? Let me convert this into a number. 1235.00. So this is a number here, right? Now let's do something which is text. So let's write Anup. Now this is a text. A text, as you see, will start as a left alignment. It will start from left to right, but a number, you see, it will start from right alignment, from right to left. So here is a text. Now I go to general. So for this, all the number formatting that we have here, like number, currency, accounting, date, time, percentage, fraction, it is all, you see, Anup, because it cannot be defined as a currency, it cannot be defined as a date, right? So it is a text. Okay, now let's go with the currency. I say 1000, but as soon as you enter it, everything will default, as you're saying, it will always be general. So it is all on you to decide what your data is, how it is working, and how do you treat your data. So for me, this is a currency. So what do? I go here and change it into currency. You see here, currency. So now what it adds the currency sign, which is dollar, adds a comma because it is a separator now from 3 digits, adds a decimal of 2 places, right? So this format is doing. Let us, there is also a shortcut for this. You see here the dollar sign. You can do it from outside exactly. Either you want to go with dollar or use this arrow key down. You can have an English dollar or a UK euro, and then there is UK pound, sorry, then we have European euro, etc. So we can do all of these things. So let us do it a euro. So in euro also, it will give you the sign, the symbol of euro, 1, comma, 000. So it will add the comma, 0.1, 0.00 with 2 decimal places, right? But for Excel, it is still 1000, which we wrote. You see here in the formula bar, right? So Excel is saving these details in the default format as you entered, but it is showing you in the format that you selected. So it is very important for you guys to see what format data you are working with, right? Now we can have a decimal number 122.2, something of this, like this, and right, and here we can also have a percentage like 0.5. Now 0.5, if I select, is either a number, can be converted into currency, but if you want it to be a percentage, you have the sign here, you write a percentage, it's 50%, right? So 0.5 is 50%, right? And 0.05 is 5%. Remember this. So for Excel, you have to be a little sharp in your basic mathematics understanding, right? Now for true false, let us not do it this here, right? Date. Now date is very important in Excel. Like you see in the formula bar here, you see 1235, 122.2, this will be 50%, right? Some basic will be saved as here, but for formats like currency, right, it is saved in the normal fashion. Now let us give it a date. The date for today is 27th of May 2020, right? Now Excel is very intelligent. It will automatically understand that this is a date. I have not pressed enter yet. Let me press enter. Now it has given a specific format. You just concentrate here so that right? Just concentrate on this. Now I wrote 27 dash small may dash 2020, but Excel understood that it is 27 dash May dash 20, right? And it will now save the date in its own format. You see here, month, day, and year. This is how the date has been saved, but this is how the date you are seeing it right now. So the formatting is very important for you whenever you are presenting dates. Like if you want to go for a short date, you see here short date. Now it will take the same format, which is MMDDYYYY. So what is it? MM, which means the month, DD, which is the date, and y, which is the year. So why I'm writing these are two times, two times, and then four times, because months will work for two, because after 9 it will be 10, 11, and 12, right? For dates, yes, we have it till 31, so again twice. And for y, we are writing 4 digits as like 2020. So this is how the date format is defined in here. There is a tremendous amount of detail that you can work in a date format in Excel. So let me give you one more option. Let us do it a long date. So in a long date, what do you see? Now you're seeing a hash, hash, hash. But because the width is not appropriate for that long date, we will double click here so that the width of this column is adjusted. Now you see Wednesday, May 27, 2020. This is how you see it, but this is how it is stored in Excel, right? 27 May 2020. But okay, so this was about dates. Now, very important for you guys to learn this very important detail. All dates in Excel are stored as numbers, right? So let me give you an example here first. I write the date for today, 27th May 2020, right? This is the date. Now, as per my format, this is a short date. But if I click here, you see, I get this number of 43,978.00. Excel is storing the dates as numbers. If I convert it, I'll get the date again. So it stores the date from 1. From 1, if I see, you see, it is 1st January 1900. -1, nothing. This is not the error of column width. It is just says that -1 is not stored as any date. So you guys have to refine on this, that each and every detail in Excel is stored as number here, as a date. Dates are stored as numbers, and it begins with 1, and 1 was 1st of January 1900. Then we have 2, you see, 2nd of January 1900, 3, 3rd of January 1900. So as the format has been taken, it is copying the same format. So that is why it is doing this. Let me just change it, give it this a number. You use a format painter and copy the format here. Now if I write 4, you see, 4 number, 4.00 is a number, but it is also a date, which is 4th of January 1900. So you have to be very much careful while working with dates, and remember that in Excel, that the dates are stored as numbers. So if you want to bring upon like a random date, let's, so this is done. So let's bring a random date. Let's say 32,468. So this was 21st November 1988. Okay, so it is all on you, the way you select your formatting. But in Excel, the dates will always be stored in numbers, right? So this is very important for you to understand the formats that Excel is using, so that in multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, you are not basically, multiplying and dividing some text values. Yeah, like I write here Anup, and then I write to 3, right? And I write equal to Anup multiplied by 2, 3, which is incorrect, because this is a text value. You cannot multiply a text value with a numerical value. right? So let me share one very important detail with you. So very good question, Atulji. Will it add euro and dollar? So let us see what happens. 1000. Let me do it on a separate sheet. It is taken the date format. So we have two numbers, 1000 and again 1000. But the first 1000 is an English dollar, but the second 1000 is a European euro, right? So let us do this. This plus this, it will give me $2000. So it will add. Why? Because you see the formatting here has been set as per Excel in number. So for Excel it is just a number, but for you it is a a, a symbol of currency which is different, right? Now let us do it in a reversal manner, right? First what we did, we added dollar and euro, so it gave us a dollar. Now let's add euro first, B3 first, and then we add B2, right? Let's see again. So for Excel, it will default some of the currency values, like English dollar is a default value it is going to take. This is a very amazing question that was asked. For that only I was searching for a Microsoft Office has, you know, given uh, just a second, I'll search it and then let you guys, I will share the link as well with you. So I was reading this link yesterday for preparing for you guys. Yes, this link. So I will let me share this directly right now, right? So in this link, as you see, data types in data models. So here Excel has these kind of data. It is a little bit advanced, so it is all on you. If you are comfortable with the data types, so you can go ahead and read this document here. So I will just jump on to the question that Atulji asked. So in addition, as an operator, if you add an integer with an integer, you will get an integer, right? But if you add an integer with a currency, you will get the currency. If you add a currency with a with an integer, then again you will get a currency. So these are the default things that Excel has, you know, fixed as per the industry requirements. So you can go through this link and see in subtraction also, multiplication also, how different kind of data types are, you know, are adding, dividing, subtracting, multiplying with each other, and what is the result that you get. So how to read this table, just bear with me with this. So here I have some data types: integer, currency, real, and data time. Here I have again some data types: integer, currency, real, and date and time. So you do this like this: integer plus integer will give me integer, right? So the values in this box are the output, and here are the inputs. So this is how things work in Excel, right? So let us go to one amazing feature that Excel has. As I told you yesterday also, to read a little bit about pivot tables, PIVOT TABLES. So what is basically a pivot table? Just bear with me for the next 5 minutes and you will understand it totally. I have this data with me, right? This data has some of the details. So remember we did in the first class, we did something around formatting this kind of data, order ID, order date, etc. So this is the core data of that startup which is selling furniture and office materials. So this is a transaction level data for 2016, 2015 and 2014, right? How do we view this data? Let me tell you. One amazing option that Excel has, you select this whole, go to home, home ribbon. In the editing group, you find sort and filter, right? You drop it down and you click on this option called this funnel kind of option called filter. Now you see you have this little arrows that are activated for you guys in the top column, right? So what do we do? What is basically filter doing? It helps you know what all data do you have beneath the column headers, and you are able to check and filter it out basically. So a lot of function in Excel are basic English. So filter means filtering things, right? You take a lot of things and you filter it out as per your requirement. So how do you activate it? You just click on this arrow and select, like I want to see only 2014. I click on 2014 and okay. You see, I now only have the details for 2014. But as soon as I'm going, let me just bold it. So as soon as I'm going down, my headers are also going down, right? So as soon as I go to the next row, the headers are vanished. But I want the headers to remain. So what do? I just go to view. You see here, the view option and the freeze pane option. And I say freeze the top row for me. So it will freeze the top row. And now you see, you can see a frozen top row and you can go ahead with your data. So let us remove this. Yes, Simran, it is Control Shift L. Let me unfreeze the panes because filtering and sorting is not which we will do it today. I want to complete the pivot tables with you guys, which is very important. So this data is basically the sales data of that startup. So how many sales do I have? Around 9,994 sales I have in this data, right? For this customer, for this order ID, order date, year, ship mode, I have like second class ship mode, like in Amazon you have a prime or a non-prime ship mode, right? So it's a second class ship mode. Then I have some customer IDs, which is basically an ID of the customer, then the name of the customer, segment, country from which customer is, city and state, their postal code, their region, the product which was sold, the product ID, the category of the product like the furniture, the bookcase, then what was the product name. So it was some Bush Somerset collection bookcase. It is just the name of the product. Then what was the sales and what was the profit, right? So A pivot table will help me summarize this data. I can obviously do not check all these 9,994 sales manually on my own, right? So a pivot table comes into the picture and helps us summarizing this data in a very orderly fashion, and it is very easy to operate it. It is just drag and drop, and there is no formula involved. You don't have to write any formulas for a pivot table. So let's go. So just keep your cell, any cell activated in your data. It can be either at order ID, anywhere. It has to be within your data. You go to insert, right? And you see this option pivot table. You click on this option pivot table. So as soon as you click on this option pivot table, it asks you to select a table or a range. So as our so as our data has already been selected, you see A1 till S9995. So this was the whole data that we have, and you see a border running around this selection. You see a border that is running around this selection. So this has selected till the end. All 9,994 transactions have been selected till the end, and all the columns also have been selected till profit. Right? You see a running border. So this says this is the selection that we are working with. Now we select this new worksheet right now. So the first option was this. We select a range. So it is basically asking what data do you want to summarize. So we give Excel this data. So this is our data that we want to summarize. Then we have new worksheet here, right? Because it will open a new worksheet for that summary. And we just leave all the other option. We'll come to that, and we click on OK. Now you see it has opened this thing called pivot table 1. To build a report, choose fields from the pivot table field list. I will redo this for you guys. Let me delete. So how do we delete it? Right click this, delete, and be sure, always remember, if you delete any sheet in Excel, you cannot bring it back with the option of edit and undo. So it will be automatically deleted. So you cannot do a Control Z on a deleted sheet. So what did we do? We just kept our active cell in any of these active data that we have. We go to insert, and then we go to pivot table. Then then our data has already been selected, the range. As you see this running borders around, we take this option of new worksheet and we click on OK. Now it has opened me a pivot table 2, because the earlier one was pivot table 1, remember, but that one we deleted it. So it has now given me pivot table 2. Now you see this pivot table list has opened here. So it is all the columns that we had in that data, the row ID, order date, year, remember? So we had all these columns in the data, row ID, order date, year, ship mode, etc. till profit. So in this also you see we have it till profit, right? So we have the data till profit here and beginning from row ID. So what is the basic thing of summarization that we can do here in pivot table is just select these fields and drop here in these 4 boxes. You see these 4 boxes: filters, columns, rows, and values, right? So let me give you an example that will be easier for you guys to understand. So what do? I select the okay. So I select this segment and put it in the rows, right? And drop it. So what am I doing it? I am just picking it up with the help of mouse and dropping it here. So as soon as I drop it here, you see row labels come in consumer, corporate, and home office. Let me help you with this. So as we apply these filters in the segment, you see I only had these 3 values: consumer, corporate, and home office segment of products that this startup has, right? Now I will take year and drop it in the column. Now you see 2014, 15, 16, and 17 have come in the columns here. And there is a grand total value associated here and a grand total value that comes in automatically. Now I want to see the sales. So I will drop the sale in the values box. So I have all the sales here as sum of sales. You see here, sum of sales. It has taken automatically that I would like to see that sum of sales in here. So it has taken sum of sales here. And let me put a filter on the region. You see, I have a filter here on the region. So what is this? If I click it here, now it will say select. I click on select multiple. Now I can see for central region, east region, south region, west region. So if I want to see for west region, I click on west, click on OK. So now it will show me the sales of these 3 segments in the last 4 years for the west region. Right? How this is working, let me help you with a diagram that I created. Let me just edit the pivot table basis this so that it is easier for you guys to understand. So let us do it once again, right? So what do? We take our year now and put the year in the filter, right? We take the segment and put it in the row. We take the category. You see here the category, put it into the columns, and we take the sales and put it into values. Just look at this very carefully. So what it is showing me for these 3 segments of consumer, corporate, and home office products, I have these 3 categories: furniture, office supplies, and technologies, and then a grand total. And this is the detail. Now you can format it because it is obviously not looking good. We have a lot of decimal places. So what do? We select it all, right? As it is in the dollar format. So we give it a dollar currency value. And if we don't want the decimal places, as I told you earlier as well, so we use this option to decrease the decimal. Now it is a little cleaner to present, right? But what is happening behind is, let us help us with this example. So the year as we enter is going on the top and is working as a filter for this whole pivot table, right? So if I want to see like I use the select multiple option. I go ahead, go from all and only 2017, right? I click on OK. So it is showing me and filtered the value for 2017 for these three segments and these three categories of the sales, right? The segment in the column list will go as a column header, right? Like in normal Excel, a column is a column in the headers and a row is from top to bottom, right? The row as in the category, this here will go to the row category here. You see the blue option, and the sum of sales is basically going in between as the values. So it is saying the pivot table, I want the segment and the category which I can filter by year to show me the sum of sales in the values, right? Here we go. If we don't want sum of sales, we can remove this like this. Just pick it here from up and drop it here, and we bring the profit here and we can see the profit. So let us select all. So this is how the profit looks like in the last 4 years for these categories and these segment, right? Now what happens is, I want to see the top profitable category on the first, right? Obviously I would like to see that. I will right click here, go to sort, see sort. Now it asks me sort from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. So I do a largest to smallest. You see, for this very furniture category, it has been sorted from this 7,500 came above and 3,000 went down. But for office supplies, it is not. So if we have to see office, we go from largest to smallest. Now you see, this has happened. So this is how we can sort as well in the pivot table. Now I want to see how many sales we made. Let us drop the profit and bring back the sales. So this is showing me the dollar value of sales, right? How much sales we made. But if I want to see how many sales we made, we can do one amazing thing, which is activity of a pivot table. Here in the values, you see there's a drop down. We select this drop down and we go to value field settings. We select this value field settings and this table will open. Now it is asking me, how do you want to summarize your value? So you have a lot of different options to do that. Either you take it as sum, which is the default option that Excel uses, or you take it as count. So count of sales will give me how many sales I made in these 4 years, and the sum of sales will give me how much sales I made. Also, you can do an average, the average of sales, the maximum sales, the minimum sales, and etc. There are a lot of different functions, which is some of them are advanced statistical functions, so we might not use them right now. So let us stay only with sum and count. So we change it to count and press on OK. But as you see, our formatting was as per dollar, but this is not correct for this situation, right? I changed the formatting to number and I remove these decimals. I can put a comma, which will be a little bit cleaner to see. So in the consumer segment, in the furniture category, I made 1,113 sales in the last 4 years. So if I want to go for just for 2017, so I can see in the consumer segment, in the office supply, I made the maximum sale, which was 1021, right? So this is an amazing option of pivot table that Excel provides us for analyzing the data. Now let us combine it with one amazing thing of conditional formatting. So let us select this chart here, these details. Also, if you don't want to see the grand totals, as you see a grand total here, you see a grand total here, what you can do, you just right click on it and you can say remove grand total. It will remove the grand total. If you want to remove the grand total from here, you can say remove the grand total, right? So now I only have the segment and the category with the number of sales that were made, right? So for that, we apply a little bit of conditional formatting. So just to see exactly which category and which segment made the maximum sales. So what do? We go to conditional formatting, just go to color scale and add this green, yellow, red, right? The green, yellow, red is basically green takes the maximum value and red takes the minimum value. We click on OK. Now see how amazing it looks to analyze this data. When someone is looking at this data, they just see consumer and office is our best segment and category which has performed well. And if you change the year, the conditional formatting will also change because it is a conditional formatting. And as you are changing the year, you will change the values and the values will change the condition. So therefore the colors will also change. So if I take only 2015, I click on OK. You see, here we go. If I click 2014, this is. So this is how you can use a pivot table, which is an amazing feature of Excel. I'll just give you one more example. Let us convert this into a pivot chart. So a chart is a visualization tool that can help you analyze data way much better. What do? You select this pivot table. So if I am not on this pivot table, I'm outside, you see everything else will close. The list closed, right? If I come back here, there are two additional tabs of analyze and design. So these are the pivot tabs that open if I am active in the pivot table. If I go out of the pivot table, so nothing is there. So I let us go and go for analyze. You see the here you can change the pivot table's name as it was pivot table 2. So you can go ahead with like a segment versus category breakup, right? This is the name of this pivot table. Now let us do one thing. Let us add a chart here, right? How do we do that? Keep on selecting this pivot table. You see here pivot charts in the tools option. We add a pivot chart. So it will give me a lot of options: column chart, line chart, pie graph, bar chart. So don't worry, I'll just showing this to you for the reference, and we will have one big class on data visualization and what different kind of charts that Excel can provide us. Just for your reference and how things can move amazingly in Excel, let us take a column chart and press on OK, right? So a pivot chart will give me all these buttons that I don't need. So what do? I right click any of the button and I hide all field button on chart, right? I hide it. So now see how amazing it is to present this kind of data like consumer in the office supplies is orange, and then of furniture technology is blue and gray respectively, and we have consumers, and this is the count of sales that is running on this axis. One more amazing thing that you can do is you go to analyze, you take this thing called insert a slicer, right? Don't worry, I'm just showing it to you so that you know what all things we have in Excel, right? Don't get confused. We will be covering all of these things in the coming classes. I just want to show you one basic feature that Excel provides you. So in the insert slicer, we will select region. I will tell you what a slicer is doing here. So we'll select region and we click on OK. So now this is a working interactive pivot that has been created for you. If you see the central region, if you click on central region, the values will change, the charts will change. Go to east region, the values will change, the chart will change. South region, the values will change, the charts will change. We will do this in the coming classes. Don't get confused, but see how interactive you can make this data to the ones you are presenting by adding these small little details like a slicer, right? So a pivot table, as told earlier, is something that helps you summarize your data. Don't get confused, practice it. Any questions, anyone? Do you have any questions right now? I think there should be questions because things went a little fast today and we've done like some amazing advanced features that Excel has to provide us. So any questions? No questions? Okay. So what did we do for a pivot table, Atulji? We went to this data that we had, right? You see this data? So we have this database. We have to summarize this data. Now this has around 9,000 transactions, 10,000 transactions, and we cannot summarize 10,000. We cannot summarize 10,000 transactions manually. So Excel has this function of pivot table. What do? We just keep one active cell within our data. We cannot keep it outside the data like this. So if we keep it outside the data, it will not select the range. Let us keep it inside this data. We go to insert. You see this option, pivot table. You click on pivot table. Let this remain the same. The table has been selected that we want to summarize. The new worksheet has been selected. We click on OK. Now a new sheet will be opened with this option of pivot table, and you see these pivot table lists will open. So it is just drag and drop about what you want to see in the rows, what you want to see in the columns, and what you want to see as filters and values. You see the four boxes here: filters, columns, values, and rows, right? So in this, it is just drag and drop. There's no formulas involved here. So what do? We take our category and drop it into columns, right? Then we take our segment and drop it into rows. So our segments are into rows. Segments are into rows, and we have categories in the columns, right? The values that we choose is, for example, in sales, I want to see the sales value, and let us not choose a filter right now. Let us only work with this. So let us give it a little bit of formatting so that we have it here. So this is how we create a pivot table, right? So sales of category and segment is given here. Now we can choose a different summarization value. As you see in Excel, default it is taking in Excel default it is taking the sum of sales, right? What we can do, we go to this, choose this value field setting. In the value field setting, we can see this small box opens up, and we can see for the count. So for the sum, it was showing me how much sales I made, right? How many dollars, how much revenue came in. But for the count, it will show me how many sales were made, right? Can you not hear me? Can someone confirm if they can hear me? Preeti, is my voice not available? Okay. So Abhay, there might be a problem from your end. Right? So in count, what we are doing, we are taking how many sales. In sum, we are doing how much sales. So much and many are different, because in the sum, it will show me how many dollars did I earn, how much money was coming in. In the count, it is saying how many sales did we make, like how many customers were there with us. So we click on OK, it will change the value here, right? So this is how we change the values. So Abhay, if there was some problem at your end, the recording will be shared and you can rehear it. Rekha ma'am, I'll try to build one more example tomorrow for pivot tables that is helpful for teachers. I don't have kind of access to that kind of data. So give me a day time and I will help that with you tomorrow. I think we can call it a day today. It was a little different because Excel has a lot of things to offer. If you have any question, you can WhatsApp me. I am in that group. Write to me on LinkedIn, anywhere. Just throw those questions. Don't keep that confusion with you, because in the long term, that confusion will not be helpful whenever you start working on the files, right? I will be sharing these data files with on the group, right? So that you guys can also work on the pivot tables. And any question, just don't hesitate on asking those questions. We also wanted to, do one more topic today, but let us go a little bit slow because these are some advanced topics. So we can call it a day today, Param sir, then.
Yes, Anup. Thank you so much. And thank you all the participants for attending this morning session. Pivot is, yes, such a wonderful feature. In this class, you did a wonderful thing as a practice for practice purpose. What we did conditional formatting with pivot. So what all advanced features we are learning in, you will see that how we are going to combine those features in a single database. Like we can combine formulas and functions with pivot, conditional formatting, VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So a large data set can easily be summarized and can easily be presented in such a sophisticated manner that anybody who is viewing the data can take out interpretations in a very simple manner. So today you see or you saw that we combined conditional formatting with the pivot, and accordingly we will keep on combining these functions and multiple features of Excel in a single data set. So thank you, Anup. Thank you so much. Thank you all.